And the Telegraph's entertainment and royal correspondent, India McTaggart. Thank you so much for joining us again. So you've had a little look through the papers, and we're going to kick off, aren't we, with curfews and troops on streets. There's a wildfire death toll double, so it's at 11 at the moment. Joe Biden coming out saying that perhaps that will increase, and there's guards on standby as people are accused of looting. It's all kind of dominating the papers today.
Yeah, I mean, it's sadly inevitable, isn't it, that when you have a disaster like this, often what comes after it is lawlessness. So, yeah, as you say, the National Guard, the troops are on patrol now in Los Angeles to guard against looting. But one line that leapt out of the story here is the political fallout as well, because obviously people are looking for answers from politicians as to whether Los Angeles was prepared enough for what happened. You know, there's reports of hydrants running dry, for instance, you know, a fairly basic thing you would think that to keep them topped up for such an eventuality. But a leaked memo has emerged showing that the Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, just days before the fire broke out, she demanded that the city fire department make an extra $49 million, which is £40 million, of cuts, which is on top of £15 million of cuts already in the pipeline from her latest budget. So obviously there'll be a lot of people saying, well, hang on a minute, why is the fire department having to face further cuts when clearly there's a huge risk of this type of incident? And also the governor, Gavin Newsom, he's been under a lot of pressure as well, and he had an altercation with a distraught mother who chased him down while he was out surveying the damage, and he told her that he is literally talking to the president right now, is what he said to her. So then when she said, well, can I listen to the conversation? He said, well, actually, I've not been able to get a hold of him. I've tried 5 times. I've not been able to get him on the phone. So he was caught out, obviously, misleading this distraught woman. So, yeah, once they've dealt with the devastation, and once they've got the fires under control, I think the next inevitable phase will be who's to blame, what more could have been done, and how can we prevent it from happening in the future.
And calls for an independent investigation into all of what Kevin just mentioned there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the preparedness it's in a place where wildfires happen more often than not. I think this scale of destruction has taken everybody by complete surprise. And I agree with you. I think heads will roll. Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, I think all of these, you know, leaders, particularly because of the cuts and the fire hydrants, that was a massive scandal. I mean, how do you not have water in the fire hydrants in these instances?
They've been having to use swimming pools.
Yes, I found that quite remarkable, that they were resorting to using people's swimming pool water to deal and tackle with this, which is quite remarkable.
Incredible bravery from the firefighters as well, you know, but obviously going in there sometimes with one hand tied behind their back because they've not got the necessary equipment or certainly water
from this will play out
to deal with fires.
Absolutely. We'll continue to cover this on Sky News throughout the morning. We're going to pivot now to the Telegraph. This is page 3, and it really is a picture story, isn't it, India?
It is a picture story,
one of those stories that I love. Princess was inspiration for Claudia Winkleman and many of her outfits during that popular TV show Traitors on the BBC.
So on a much lighter note, so Claudia Winkleman said on the Graham Norton show that Princess Anne, who has become a real Gen Z pin-up, by the way, and a fashion icon worldwide.
Really?
Yeah, she really has.
Cool.
Has inspired a lot of her outfits while presenting Traitors. Obviously, Traitors is set in the Scottish Highlands.
Yes.
So it's taking a bit of this country chic, the chunky knit jumpers, the tweed blazers, the capes. In the pictures, you can see the side-by-side comparisons of where they might have sort of, her and her stylist might have been inspired by the Princess Royal. But it's just quite extraordinary because in the last year, Princess Anne, obviously, who's always comes out pretty much top on popularity, always, and is consistently the hardest working member of the royal family in terms of the number of engagements she undertakes. It's extraordinary for 74 years old. Has really just shot to fashion fame, I'd say. And actually, we had last year, sorry, the designer Fendi described her as the chicest woman in the world. And I think it's just a mixture of, it's sort of a TikTok thing because there's sort of like this old money chic trend going on now with Gen Z and millennials and on TikTok. And I think it's sort of encapsulating that British traditional style So I thought this was just really fun.
A fascinating insight into TikTok and Gen Z.
It's all a mystery to me.
It is,
It makes
I
me feel
have to
very old to
say.
hear you talking like that.
I feel the
I'm
same.
completely unaware of this. I have to say.
Should we go on to the Financial Times? Labour lines up fresh drive to bolster growth. You know, we'll all remember Rachel Reeves, her big message, isn't it? That she wants growth, she wants economic stability. That's looking
Easier said than done.
easier said than done. In the
Isn't
balance,
it?
many would say too.
Yeah, exactly. So the FT are obviously focusing on the turmoil in the markets over the past few days. UK borrowing costs, how much the government pays to service its debt, has climbed to a 16-year high. Yesterday, inflation is going in the wrong direction. And through all this, the Chancellor's got to try and achieve growth. But the most recent statistics show that growth, if there is any growth, it's pretty anemic, to put it mildly. And basically everything rests on this. And I was told by someone in the Treasury a couple of days ago that as soon as the budget was out the way, the Chancellor told our officials, right, we need to now go for growth, accelerate our growth plan. She's making a big growth speech later this month. Now, obviously, speech doesn't lead to growth
But confidence
itself.
is really important, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And that's what I suppose we haven't had from Rachel Reeves, is that confidence in growth, in spending. And that's the problem, isn't it?
It is,
and
yeah,
that's what
which is-
people want to hear in the markets in particular.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why she's gone to China as
yeah.
well, which has obviously been a little bit controversial, but it's to try, she's basically trying to pull any lever that she possibly can to try and get growth, because if they don't get growth and increase tax receipts that way, then they're left with having the option of either more borrowing, which is obviously very expensive now, or more tax rises, which politically would be pretty disastrous after raising taxes by £40 billion in the budget. So she's really got to bet the farm, really, on growth. And it's all on that. And if they don't get it, then they're in an awful lot of trouble.
Do you think there's any chance she might reverse or sort of scale back on some of the more controversial policies in her budget, or no, not looking like it?
room
No, I
to
don't think
do
so. We
that.
just can't afford it. You know, it's like, I mean, the rise in national insurance on employers, that's meant to raise £25 billion. Now, there's a lot of maybe controversy over whether it will raise that much. But if she was to try and roll back on that, then that money's got to be found from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And she's also said no return to austerity, which again limits her options. So, yeah, if she doesn't get growth, then she's in an awful lot of trouble.
Goodness me. I wanted to end on a story that we picked out last hour. We didn't get to it. And it's all about Gen Z again, and it's the Jellycat toy and how people are finding comfort in these quite exclusive now, I have to say, stuffed toys from Jellycat. My daughter has one, and she's
Yeah.
obsessed with it. What's this story?
Yeah, so as you said there, these, they're called, what's the word? Plushies.
Yeah.
Which is another word for fluffy. In fact, I was saying in the earlier, I learnt a new word, derpy, which means foolish, apparently. So these derpy little plushies, which are now incredibly popular amongst young
Incredibly
people.
popular and exclusive. Back after the break.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered.